And welcome back to another daily devotion. I am Pastor Roy here at Woodlawn Christian Church in Lake City, Iowa, and this devotion is for Friday, February 16th of 2024. We've made it to the end of the week. We are in the Gospel of Mark. We're in the ninth chapter. We're not to the end of chapter 9 yet. Monday and Tuesday we'll deal with the rest of chapter 9. Then Wednesday we'll jump into chapter 10. Now, the section we're looking at today is chapter 9, verses 33 to 37. The Revised Standard Version, which is the translation I'm using. You may use whatever translation you want to follow along. I, for some reason, like the Revised Standard Version. Just call me crazy. Everybody else does. But they call it, Who is the Greatest? Now, the irony here is, if you remember a couple days back, after Jesus had come down from the mountain of the Transfiguration with Peter and James and John went with him, those three guys were with him, but the rest of them were trying to deal with this boy that had the demon possession, and they weren't able to get the demon to go. And now they're talking about who's the greatest. Well, apparently it wasn't any of you guys, because you couldn't deal with the demon. But let's jump into this, talk about it a little bit more, shall we? This is chapter 9 in Mark's Gospel, verses 33 to 37, if I didn't say that already. And they came to Capernaum, and when he was in the house, he asked them, What were you discussing on the way? But they were silent, for on the way they had discussed with one another who was the greatest. And he sat down and called the 12, and he said to them, If anyone would be first, he must be last of all and servant of all. And he took a child and put him in the midst of them, and taking him in his arms, he said to them, Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me. Okay, they're back home, the home base. They're back at Peter's home in Capernaum. We've talked about that before. They think they know where that house is. They think there's a church or a Catholic church, but it looks very much like a UFO on tripods, on stilts, whatever you want to say. That's built over the top of this house, looks right down into it. So if you're ever in Israel, go to Capernaum and see it. The synagogue is just down the road. It's very cool. Anyway, I digress. Jesus is, they get back home, this long journey, and all of these things have been going on. They've traveled quite a ways and back home now to rest up. And Jesus says, Hey, back there on the road, when we were walking, what were you doing back there behind me? I could hear this. Jesus knew what was going on, for pity's sakes. Jesus likes to ask questions he knows the answers to. In fact, Jesus can't ask a question he doesn't already know the answer to. I digress again. He says, What were you doing back there? I could hear you on the road over my shoulder talking amongst yourselves, trying to keep it quiet because you didn't want me to hear. A lot of times we try to keep stuff quiet, don't we? We don't want Jesus to hear. Good luck with that. And of course, they don't want to tell him because they're arguing about who's the better and the greater and who's going to get the higher ranking, who's going to be placed, in the, if you want to look at it in sports analogy, in the ranking, who's going to be ranked higher in the preseason here, because we're not into the end time, well, quite yet. Once Jesus dies, then we're into the end times. But at any rate, who's going to be ranked higher in the kingdom to come, and the hierarchy, the bureaucracy. We talked about that a few days ago, maybe a week ago, I don't remember. There's no bureaucracy in heaven, in my opinion, or in the resurrected earth either. And they don't want to admit it, do they? Because they've got the wrong idea. They're thinking about themselves. It's about my position, my bragging rights, what is my title, if you will. Where do I come in the pecking order? It's all about me, 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 me. And we all can be very guilty of that, about me, 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 me. That's why I'm not a real big fan of churches that are built on the charismatic leader. I've never gone to a church that was built around a pastor that was the big deal, was such and such pastor. A lot of the mega churches kind of get that way, and then if that pastor's going to leave, they got to look for somebody else that's just got the next whiz bang kid, somebody that's the greatest. He's got to have the greatest, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. This is supposed to be a movement of the normal people, if you will. Everybody's supposed to be the least of all. It says here, if you want to be first, you have to be last. The first will be last, and the last shall be first. And you have to come as a child to the Lord. And here he says, and he took a child and put him in the midst of them, and taking him in his arms, he said to them, whoever receives one such child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me. You receive that child that, in the ancient times, the children had no ability to do anything for you. They had no value. Let's put it that way. Other than being the oldest boy would be the one that would inherit everything. But children in particular, up until they got to the age of of adulthood, around 13 in the Jewish world, they were just nothing. Children should be seen and not heard, and all of that. And they were, very much diminished and ignored. But Jesus is saying, no, you need to be paying attention. Whoever receives this child, whoever has, looks to this child as being worthy and having value and being of something that we need to care for and to deal for, to work for. I guess I can't talk here today again. I can't talk. That's the one that we need to look for. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to help those that can't help us. I guess that's what, long story short, there's where we go. We help those, we do for those, even though they can't do in return. They cannot return any favor to us. They have no ability, no power. But us as adults, we care for them. We work for them. We provide for them, even though they can do nothing for us. And even though they're not someone that is someone, again, father is going to take care of especially the older son, because that's their lineage. That's their that's what's going to carry on their family name. But that's not the case here. This is just a random child, not your own blood or anything. So, and if you receive that child, you receive not only Jesus, but you receive God. Of course, Jesus is God. So that's what's going on here. It is a story of humility, which we all need to have, and putting others first and putting ourselves last, looking towards ourselves less. And that's a good lesson for Lent. We started Lent yesterday, actually 2 days ago now. I'm doing this on Thursday, so for you it's been, because you're watching this on Friday, it's 2 days ago, Wednesday, Ash Wednesday, we began the journey of Lent. And that's part of what Lent's all about, isn't it? Putting ourselves, thinking less of ourselves and thinking more of others and thinking more about God. That's the goal. So that's what I've got for you today. Come on back on Monday. We are going to look at another exorcist. We were talking about that. That's a little bit of a change of direction there. So have a blessed day. Please, please, please be a blessing to someone today. If you enjoy these devotions, if you gain anything from them, please do like and subscribe. Come on back again. We'd love to see you. Feel free to share. God bless you. God loves you. See you later.